Hello, and welcome to Under 1000. My name's Thomas Flower, and each episode I'll read you a new piece of flash fiction. All of the stories are 1000 words or less. Today, I'll be reading A Quiet Scandal. Lisa was so proud of her work. It hadn't been easy. Gathering statements from whistleblowers, investigating years of financial records, and taking statements from senior members of the companies without tipping them off to the story she was about to unleash. But after all that, it had paid off. All she needed to do now was run it past her editor, and the piece would be ready to print. There was something intimidating about Dan. Although he was hardly the most senior editor at the paper by a long stretch, it was to him that Lisa was instructed to send everything, and he seemed very much aware of his power over her. Dan may not have been able to control the headlines on the front page or anything as serious as that, but he was definitely able to kill or change her stories in ways which could be drastic and devastating. However, her previous work had been much less in-depth and much less severe than this. Surely, with a national scandal ready to be splashed across the pages, he would see the potential and allow her an easy journey to print. Surely. Come in, sit down. I think we have a lot to discuss. Lisa's mouth was dry. He'd read it, but what was he thinking? She couldn't quite tell if his comment was a positive or a negative one. First of all, I just want to congratulate you for this. It's an amazing feat, Lisa, especially for someone at your level. I can't even imagine how much work you must have put into it, given the time between you taking it on and sending in this first draft. Thank you, Dan. That means a lot. It was a lot of hard work, but I'm very proud of what I've achieved here. As you should be, Dan carried on, almost insincerely, almost automatically, she thought to herself. Now, I just have a few notes to revise it before we send it up for approval and printing. Lisa braced herself, waiting for the worst. Firstly, this thing about LRZ energy, I'm not sure if we can put that part in. Honestly, the evidence seems pretty flimsy, and as a major advertiser, I don't think we really want to upset them without good reason. Can you edit it out? I don't think it would change the story that much, would it? Lisa was frustrated, but willing to bend and acquiesce for the sake of getting the work out there. Sure, Dan. It's just a short paragraph in the middle. I can take that out without too much difficulty. Great. That's what I like to hear. Now, another thing. This part with the statement from Frank Chen? Excellent stuff getting you to talk about the malpractice issues, but I don't think we can use it. Lisa stared, a little dumbfounded, unsure what to say. Dan pushed on, attempting to proffer an explanation when he saw the look on her face. It's just that the CEO he's whistleblowing on is the brother of one of the paper's major shareholders. We wouldn't want to invoke the family's anger is all. You never know the consequences it could have. I think you can take out the parts about him without changing the story in general, can't you? Pausing for a beat, allowing the rage to settle within her a little, Lisa replied, I guess. Honestly, I wouldn't be happy about it, Dan. I think it's pretty shady and dishonest, but if you think the higher-ups definitely won't budge on it, then it could be done. It'll take a bit of work, though. That statement was fairly important to the whole piece. I know, Lisa, Dan responded quickly, a faux soothing tone irritatingly washing over his words. But it really will help us get it published faster, I promise. There's still a lot in there without it, isn't there? Lisa just nodded, too annoyed to reply verbally. Great, said Dan once again. Now, just one last thing. The part about Helix Oil, that's all gotta go. It'll never fly upstairs. There are far too many links historically between them and us. They're a major sponsor of our World Film Festival in August, for example. There's just no way we can run the story with them included. Can you take it all out? Lisa was shocked into silence. She simply didn't know what to say anymore. Slowly, Carefully, through heavily gritted teeth, she struggled out. If I take that out, Dan, along with the rest of the changes, then there's almost no story left. Helix Oil were one of the main players, and if I skim over their involvement, then the story barely makes sense anymore, and looks like significantly less of an issue than it does with them in the picture. I'm sorry, but what you're asking just doesn't make sense. Yeah, I get that. Well, maybe we'll just have to shelve this one for now then. See if we can figure out a way to rewrite it later down the line or something. I'll give you some quick easy pieces to bash out in the meantime. But, Dan... Lisa started to protest, but it was no use. He was already ushering her out of the office, insisting that he'd find some good replacement pieces for her. Out in the corridor, Lisa tried to comprehend what had just happened. She'd been canned, her story ripped up and mercilessly destroyed in front of her very eyes. All for the sake of protecting the guilty and well-connected. Rage turned to despair and resignation. She simply didn't know what to do when the truth was so dependent on who needed what. Defeated and silent, she returned to her desk to await her new assignment. Thank you for listening to Under 1000. I'm your host, Thomas Flower. To follow the show online, look for Under 1000 Pod on Twitter or Facebook. If you'd like to support the show on Patreon, go to patreon.com/under1000pod, where you can sign up to read each month's stories in advance, as well as to have a thank you be read during these credits. The theme music is an instrumental version of In Between Days by Nick Tate and the Sharks. To hear the full song and more from the same EP, go to Nick Tate, Nictate, and thesharks.bandcamp.com, or search for them on your favourite streaming platform. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and that you'll join me again next time for some more super short fiction.